All right, let's talk more about auto sales. They're expected to hit that number he just mentioned, 13.9 million for 22. That's an 8% decline from the year prior, well below that pre-pandemic average, which was around 17 million. Here to discuss that, as well as GM and the passing lane right by Toyota, is Pat Ryan, the founder and CEO of CoPilot, which helps consumers buy new and used cars. Good to see you, sir. What do you make of that dynamic as GM increases sales and Toyota falls off more than 9%? Or the fact that we're looking at, is this a new norm of auto sales in that 13 to 14 million units?
There's still a lot of pent-up demand. If you look at it, Toyota has almost no supply on the ground. Toyota and Lexus combined have about 21 days worth of cars on their lots. So they're still in very high demand. They just don't have the supply. Japanese automakers overall have really struggled to catch up on the chip side and struggled to keep up with the demand. Their cars have been very high demand throughout the pandemic. Where GM supply is caught up, GM supply is up quite a bit. It's closer to 60 days. And so, GM's really come back in its supply. That's allowed them to sell in ways that Toyota hasn't been able to. So if Toyota can produce and get caught up to GM on the production side, I would expect to see that race be more neck and neck than it was at the end of this year. Toyota just lost too much ground during the middle of the year, unable to keep production up. And, you see it with their market today. If you buy a Toyota in the fourth quarter, they only gave you one key because they couldn't afford enough chips to give you two keys.
Pat, let's compare what's going on in the new car market and comparing that with the used car market, because pricing, especially in the used car market, we've seen that come down pretty substantially. You sent over numbers saying that the average price of a used car was $31,000. That's down 6% year over year. When you take a look at pricing, let's start there. Do you expect that to trend even lower this year, and how low?
We do. The markets are all different. So if you look at the older used cars, they started to really come down at the beginning of the year. They've been dropping all year. They're down considerably. And you saw a really big decline in those prices that slowed in the fourth quarter. Where the substitute for new cars, those 1 to 3 year old nearly new used cars, those really didn't start to slow until August. They actually peaked in August. So we've seen a big drop in those numbers. Those numbers are really moving down dramatically in the fourth quarter as new car supply has come back. New car supply is up over 70% from its low in the summer. And that's going to accelerate as people begin to continue to struggle, I think, a little bit with the interest rate payments. The Toyota management said that they're seeing for the first time cars they thought were pre-sold that aren't closing because people look at the interest rates and say, oh, maybe not. And those used car prices are starting to soften because of it. And we expect that to accelerate as we get into 23.
And Shauna mentions that 6% decline, nothing compared to the EV drop-off, 4 times that, 24%, and Tesla's down 25%. What do you make of that drop-off of a cliff?
Well, it's interesting. The Tesla vehicle price, used vehicle price, and the Tesla stock price seem to have had an equally tumultuous year. The electric prices really took off when the Ukraine war started. And we saw a huge increase that peaked in the summer. And then since then, we've seen a huge drop off, 25% down in terms of what used Teslas have gone down, which is interesting because, new Teslas prices have been going up because of the scarcity of battery related minerals and the ability to just get production of electric vehicles as high as they'd like. So the reality is that the Tesla bubble sort of peaked this summer and then popped. But it's not just that the prices have come down. Even though prices have come down 25%, what we're looking at is near record high supply of used Teslas on the market. Hard to imagine with new Tesla prices going up that's not going to put some real pressure on the Tesla stock, because the difference in a 2-year-old Tesla is hard to say it's worth $25,000, $30,000.
Yeah, certainly. I do agree with that. Pat, you at CoPilot, you help people, you help potential buyers get the best deal, whether they're buying a new or used car. If some of our viewers are in the market, I guess what are 1, 2, or 3 tips that you have or they need to keep in mind when they are purchasing their next vehicle?
Yeah, I think it's really important to really shop around and to be patient. Both the new car supply is going up. Incentives reached record lows in the middle of this year for new cars. They're going up, but they're down 71% year over year. So you're going to see incentives climb throughout 23. You're going to see availability climb for new cars throughout 23. And you're going to see used car prices on the other side drop throughout 23. So this is a great time to be patient, a great time to shop around. That's why we tell our members, hey, we'll look at every dealer in the country for you and find you the ones who are really adjusting to the market, because no one wants to be that person who's the last one to pay the record high price. And there's risk of that. There's a lot of diffusion in the market in terms of what prices look like. A lot of dealers trying to hold on for the old profits, and consumers need to be savvy about that. I think the second one to keep in mind is, first one is on new cars. Definitely wait for the incentives on used cars. Wait for prices to come down more. They're accelerating. All these forces are coming your way. After 2 years of being a dealer and automaker market, it's now going to become a consumer market in 23. The last one is, if you have a trade-in and your trade-in is a lot of equity, that may be the one reason to buy sooner, because those used car prices going down are going to impact the price and value of your trade-in. So that'd be the only reason to buy now, is if you have a trade-in with a lot of equity. Maybe that makes it better to get a new car right now. That's probably the best combo, is to trade in a used car and buy a new car right now. Otherwise, patience will be your friend, and you'll see people. It's like the stock market. I expect that 23, as we get into mid to late 23, we're going to see that the car market prices have adjusted the way the stock market has, and being patient will pay off for consumers who do.
I don't want to rush to any big decisions there. Pat Ryan, CoPilot CEO, thanks so much for joining us here this afternoon.